Welcome, welcome, welcome back. This is Who They Want Podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. This is Who They Want Podcast. Tune in because we live tonight. It's Friday. Got nothing to do. Tune in. See what we do. Shout out to the Misfits. That's the crew. See everybody next week. That's true. Y'all already know this is what I do. DJ Big Dog rocking with the Who They Want crew. You thought I lost my flow. I just lost my mind. So I had to get it together to fit this rhyme one more time. Because this is how I shine. You did. I'm having too much fun in the studio. Just waiting on my guests so we can go live. Give you a show and enjoy the ride. Just having a couple fun. Ain't freestyling in years, so this is fun. Did you get the pun? Ain't freestyling in a while, so this is fun. I'm just doing what's been done. Who they want freestyling is about fun. It is. And if you're tuning in, just a pre-show, ain't got nothing to do, just kicking in the studio, cause I can, cause I'm so who they want. Yeah. And we're almost live. Thinking in the studio before we go live and bring my guests on. Waiting on my co-host to tune in too. Shout out to the Misfits crew. You should have been here and watch me do what I do as I give you a show with this voice now. I'm just having too much fun. The show's already begun. Don't mind me. I might be a little bit crazy. It is. It is.
And welcome to the studio. Don't mind me, I was just having a little fun in the pre-show.
No worries. How are you?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm good. Just trying to get my camera right.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to meet you, by the way, in person now.
Pardon me?
I said it's a pleasure to meet you in person here.
Yes. Thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. I'm excited to hear you share your story with my audience tonight. So, I really wasn't getting into it till like 8:15 for sure, so I'm just having a little fun, just playing around with some new equipment that I got hooked up, trying to bring it.
No worries. I'm always early, and like I was like I have to be on time. Yeah, but like I'm a person that I can't set an alarm because then I oversleep or I don't get any sleep. So yeah, I've been just conscious of I gotta be up on time.
That's a good plan to have because, a lot of people can lose something. You'd be like, okay, I know 8 o'clock I got something to do. So I'm going to take this nap at 7:45 and then wake up and hopefully I'll be on time. And you wake up and be like 10 o'clock at night and you go, yeah, I knew I was supposed to do something beforehand.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel like I'm so close to this camera.
Just kicking it. The rest of my crew, y'all get well soon. This COVID thing, boy, it's a mess out here. Like, for real, for real.
It is. I thought it'd be over by now, but no.
A mess, man. I need my people to mask up, be wise. I know everybody feels some type of way about the vaccines and that, but I just say wear your mask, put your faith on, and just handle your business. Ain't no sense to keep risking the lives of our people just because you want a good time. We can have good times another time. Right now,
Exactly.
I just need everybody to kind of just, be mindful of what's really going on in this world.
Yeah.
This is the first time I actually gave y'all a pre-show. Y'all should be thankful for this. I don't do lives before I'm really live. Like, this is new. Sheridan Ridges, hey, what's good, love? How you doing? See you shouting us out from the audience members. How you doing, love? Catch you up. There's nothing to catch you up on. This is our guest for the evening, the wonderful Leticia at BlaqueRose Coach. She's going to drop us the story in a few minutes. So I'm just, kicking it around, giving y'all some excitement because I can do that.
So where are you?
Me, I am in North Florida. I am in Quincy, Florida, close to Tallahassee. So.
Okay. I've driven through that area, I guess. I used to live in Atlanta. So I was in Atlanta for almost 5 years. And yeah, I spent a lot of time in Florida, driving back and forth, actually. So.
Right. I'm gonna be in and out Atlanta here. You ain't gotta put on. Nobody asked you to do all that. Did we ask you to represent
ATL in the building?
Woohoo!
I'm originally from Bermuda.
Oh, that's the
Yeah,
first.
I'm an island girl.
Hear an accent though. Any more questions you would like to ask? Feel free now, because once the clock say 8:15 on my radar, we're not taking no more questions during this live. I just know that directly. I'm talking to you, Sheridan Ridges, aka Queen. Yes, I'm calling you out loud. I'm gonna stop doing that. You know what? I take that back. Don't do that.
So how long you been doing this?
I'm almost at a year mark, so I'm gonna say 11 and a half months. I'm close to that full year mark.
Okay, that's nice.
I love podcasts. It's my life.
I can tell. Like, I was watching some of your things today, and I was like, yeah, you can see your passion. You know what I mean? Which is a good thing.
Absolutely. I'm not funny. I'm hilarious. There's a difference.
And from Haiti. How long have you been in the States?
Too long. To all my other viewers, for your viewing pleasure, this is the pre-show before we interview this lovely person tonight on tonight's show. I'm waiting on my co-host to chime in, and I'm sending get well wishes to the Duchess of Who They Want Entertainment LLC, the one, the only, the fabulous Lady Tasha. Get well soon, love.
Get well, Natasha. Was looking forward to meeting you.
See, exactly. We'll be back soon. So will the rest of the crew. I don't want anybody to feel left out from that specifically. So the rest of my entourage and my misfits, nothing but love. Jay Taddick, Kyle Eric, Dazzy, Mistress Dazzy. The list goes on. I got nothing but love for the home team. I'm gonna put on for y'all tonight and tonight on. I might take tomorrow off. I work too hard.
So you go live every night?
I literally go live every night.
Wow, that is commitment.
It is. It's been one of the moments where I try to take on the world and go, wait, not today. I can't be Superman today. I'm gonna be Clark Kent, but if the moment occurs, I will still go and do my job. So
Yeah,
uh,
hey, when you do what you love, it's not work, right?
that's what I'm saying. Like that's the beauty in it. And people ask me that all the time. They're like, bro, there's no way you can podcast that many days in a week. And I go, what's stopping me?
Exactly. You are your only barrier. So do what you gotta do. Show up and show out. Hey.
Yeah. This is like the first time I'm doing it with such enthusiasm, though. Something about tonight got a little spark in me tonight. And if
Hey.
I be on the jitterbug right about now, but I'm full confident. Like, yeah, I got this. I can handle
You
this.
got this. You got this. No need to be nervous. I
Oh,
should be nervous. I can't get my camera right. Like,
oh, okay. Listen, your camera's on. We're good.
okay.
Okay, my co-host just said she's finna log in. She'll join us in a moment.
I hope I'm able to get back to sleep now.
Think you'll be able to catch a nap after a wonderful exclusive interview with
I
us?
don't know. I don't know. I went to sleep very early because I was like, let me just get some rest. So I'm full of life and full of energy. And now I'm like, I feel like I'm had a full night's rest, you know?
That's the
So I
magic
might
of
be buzzing after this and not go to sleep. And then I will regret it in the morning because I got two toddlers.
oh,
Um, so yeah, try to get in as much sleep as you can, right? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm excited to be here. And we're just gonna act like we had a full night's sleep.
and that's how you take charge.
Exactly.
That's crazy because now lately, since I've been more business focused than hobbies, it'll be like I'll sleep more during the day and then be more energized during the night.
Hmm.
So once I do a show, I'm constantly up looking for another ideas and so forth and so forth. So it's like, once the gears start turning, it's hard to cut them back off.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like once I'm in creation mode, I'm just like full on. But I think I'm learning. I'm really a night owl, but my babies are morning, like the early birds. So I've had to find a balance. You know what I mean? Like I can't be up until 3 o'clock in the morning if the baby's getting up at 5.
You gotta
Just
fight
can't do it anymore.
your body. So no,
Yeah, no, it's not happening. I think they definitely aged me because I used to be able to burn the midnight oil. I can't do that anymore.
man, you gotta get the spark back. That's all that is.
Yeah, when the sleeping during the night, that's probably when it will come.
As soon as she's up on the screen, I chime her in, and we are going straight to show mode. That's right.
Hey,
I'm about to give them a show within a show.
okay.
Y'all are welcome for this. This is the first time only. You get a pre-show and then the real show. There's no after show will not be streamed live, ladies and gentlemen. And there's that awkward moment of silence. This is why you don't do pre-shows.
I'm sitting here thinking about what I'm going to talk about.
Oh, so you weren't prepared to share the story.
No, I'm just like preparing myself. The story, I can share that all day, but I'm just preparing myself. It's like, I wasn't expecting a pre-show. I was expecting to sit in the green room.
Right. And then you be bought on. See how I did you? I was like, I couldn't let you sit there too long because you were just sitting there with so much excitement and fulfillment. I was like, you got to bring her in. She got to just come kick it. And here we are.
Here we are.
Let this be a small disclaimer to the Misfits crew. If we schedule something at 8:15 and we 2 minutes over 8:15, I'm gonna need y'all to do better with this time management. That's everybody. But I love y'all anyway, so don't grill me.
How many are on your crew?
I think it's like 8 of us. I think it's 8. Somewhere between 8 and 6. They bet.
Okay.
I love my crew. They really became like a second family to me.
That's good. That's good. I have watched a few of you guys stuff and like the energy is amazing, You can't fake that kind of stuff.
You truly can't. I tell them who they want does everything that they don't, and what you see is what you get every show.
Mhm.
I don't control none of the madness at all. So the record and the unrecord button. That's all I record.
Mhm.
Still gonna give her a few more minutes before we do this introduction thing. Cause I don't
Yeah,
want
no
to.
worries.
I just didn't want to do the introduction, and then she chimes in, and then I gotta redo another intro for her separately. I want to do it like all in one breath.
I got you. I got you. I'm patient. Do what we gotta do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I used to live in the States. I lived in Connecticut for a couple of years, and then I was in Atlanta for just under 5 years. I miss it. I haven't been in the States since 2011.
Oh wow, it's been a minute.
Long time.
Pretty sure the island got motor offer though. Pretty sure.
Pardon?
I'm pretty sure the island has motor offer. It's beautiful. It's tropical. The water.
Bermuda is amazing. It's so beautiful, but it's tiny. It's 21 square miles.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I've explored that whole island. I'm still exploring England, much bigger island. But yeah, Bermuda is amazing, I must say. I know most islanders are island proud, and I'm super duper proud to be Bermudian.
I gotta admit, Islanders are like my favorite people next to like Louisiana people. Like Islanders are different. I don't know, cause I think it was in high school, like, and I had this English teacher. She was from Trinidad, and she had like the most amazing accent to me. Like, as a kid, most teachers' class you would skip. She'd be like the one class I look forward to going to. Like, that's I want to hear a talk for today.
Islanders have an energy that is not matched, and it doesn't matter what island you're from. There is an energy about us that,
Sure.
yeah.
Most humblest people too you can ever meet.
So you've been always in the same area in Florida?
Literally, I always have. I'm born and raised right here in this small little city, and I love it. Like I just love it. And people really actually call me country, and I'd be like, I don't see the country. But then I
I can
realized,
hear the country.
"See, you win,
I can hear it loud and clear.
you win. I'm gonna let you have that. Quincy folks been labeled as country, just to let y'all know. But I love my country pride.
Yes.
This is actually dope. I'm really proud of this moment right now, just because we still creating good energy, and I ain't even really doing the show yet. Gotta
Yeah.
start doing this more often.
That's what it's about.
Ladies and gentlemen, my co-host for the evening, the Who They Want Wildflower. Ladies and gentlemen, Kimberly Fat Girl Freestyle Denise. How you doing, love?
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm happy to be here.
Yes.
Awesome. How's
Glad,
everybody feeling tonight?
excited,
Feeling good.
ready.
All right. Hold on.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Who They Want podcast show, the only podcast show that does everything that they don't. And it's Freestyle Friday. And tonight we got a special guest on Freestyle Friday. We're going to sit down with this beautiful creature, this beautiful human being, and we're going to sit down and just have this wonderful discussion with Miss Leticia at BlaqueRose Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Very well.
I think I have those earrings.
Queen.
I think I have those. I love it. I'm
Queen.
into earrings, so forgive me.
No worries.
We admire
I mean,
your eye for fashion, but we got to start the
I'm
show.
sorry. I'm sorry, Steady Rock. Go ahead. My bad.
Nope. You know what? You got to leave for this one. I don't work all week. We need you to get some airtime. Go.
Okay, well, let's get right into it then. So, Miss Leticia, BlaqueRose Coach, is that your handle on Instagram as well?
BlaqueRose Coaching is my handle on Instagram.
BlaqueRose Coaching.
Yes.
All right, gotcha. I'm gonna follow you before the show is over.
Okay.
So, I got a little bit, just a tidbit of information about you from Steady Rock, but I want to hear. Oh, he told me you had a very interesting story, a story of triumph and just overcoming personal, personal obstacles. I want to hear your story because I'm all about women, especially Black women. I'm all about Black women finding their power and healing their traumas and just kind of claiming their place in the world. So I would love to hear how you got to be the woman that you are today.
Well, first of all, I am the same. I am all about seeing Black women win. Like, that's what it's about. I'm tired of seeing us struggle.
Yeah.
And a lot of our struggle comes from here, comes from
Mhm.
our mind. So I'm a mindset coach. I'm also a business foundation strategist, and I am dedicated to helping Black women in particular get their mind right so that they can see the success and fulfillment that they desire in their lives. And one of the things that I really am passionate about is helping women start a business. I recently walked away from my 9 to 5. I was working in commercial insurance for 14 years. And I made the decision after going through a lot in life that I wanted to be happy. Like, I don't want to be going through life just doing mundane things, just doing what it is that somebody else expects me to do, because I was miserable. And, you know, I was born in Bermuda, I was raised in Bermuda, and at a very early age, I was told that my birth was the reason why my parents divorced. And that was heavy. That was super
That's a
heavy.
lot to carry as a kid.
Yes, very heavy. Both parents remarried, and both of the spouses really didn't want anything to do with me. So I kind of grew up like in between two families. My daddy had his family, my mama had his family, and I was somewhere in the middle. And as a child, that has you like seeking love. Like you feel unloved, you feel unwanted. Like I was responsible. That was the narrative I had been told and the narrative that I carried. I was responsible for breaking up the most important relationship in my life at that time, right? So I spent a lot of years just searching for love and searching for my worth, which led me into a relationship at the age of 14 with a man that was 28 years old. And now in Bermuda, like it's not as abnormal as you would think it would be. It's taboo. People don't really talk about it, but grown men prey on little girls. And that's exactly what my situation was. I was vulnerable and this man took advantage of me. I was in a position where I didn't really want to be in the household. I was living with my mama, and I really felt like my mama's husband hated me. We'll come to that in a little bit. And I just needed an escape. So I got involved with this guy who made me feel like the world. He used to give me whatever I wanted. I remember he used to come pick me up from school in his car with a cooler full of wine coolers that I'd be able to give my friends. Like I felt like I was big, you know what I mean? Like I was living my life because I was experiencing something that a normal 14-year-old wouldn't have experienced. That came with a price too, and it came with a price very early on. And as you age and as you reflect back, you can see what's happening. I didn't see it then, but he was grooming me, and he was grooming me in a way that he can keep control over me. So he used to say stuff to me like, your parents don't love you. I'm the only one that's in your corner, And at that age, I don't know any better.
Yeah.
All I wanted was somebody to pay attention to me. And that's what he was doing. And I think I realize now that that's when he really started breaking me down. So, I was in an abusive relationship. And I remember the first time he put his hands on me, he choked me. And I remember saying to myself, like, this is not it. Like, I'm not putting up with this. No, like, I know better. I know a man's not supposed to put his hands on me. And I was practically living with him at that age. I was almost 16. I had all this stuff up there. I spent most of my time with this man. And I packed up my stuff. I put my stuff in trash bags and I left.
I'm sorry, Leticia. And your parents never questioned? They never...
Yes. So when my mom found out about this guy, she did a background check. I had a family member that was a cop. So she did a background check on him. And she said to me, like, this guy is dangerous. You should not be with him. Everybody that's been with this guy has gotten a restraining order against them. So you need to back up. But wait a minute, you're telling me to back up from somebody. And you're like, I'm got a bad relationship with you. So I'm not listening to you. At this point, I hadn't seen that part of him. You know what I mean? Like, he was great. He was my knight in shining armor. He gave me peace with everything that was going on in my household. So yeah, I knew before he put his hands on me that he was a violent man, but I hadn't seen it. So the first time he choked me, like I said, I was like, nope, I'm out. Peace. I'm not dealing with this. But I go back into a situation where I literally feel unloved and unwanted. There was periods of times where, my mom and I would fight and I would go live with my father for a little while. And then his wife would be like, I don't want to raise your child. So I'm getting shipped around by people who are supposed to be caring about me. And I remember one day I had gotten into an argument with my mama's husband and I threatened to kill myself. And he made an absolute mockery of me. Oh, you're going to kill yourself? Let's call your sisters. Let's call your mama. He brought everybody in the kitchen to watch me take a handful of a leaf. Like literally mocked me. And in that moment, my mom didn't say anything. So here I am, like, you gave birth to me, and this man's laughing in my face as I'm trying to take my life. I was angry. I was angry. You know what I mean? I didn't ask to be here, and I was getting treated like crap by the people who brought me into the world. So, I tried to commit suicide. I went down to the hospital. I was treated. I was put into psychiatric care for a short period of time. And I remember having a family meeting with the psychiatrist. And my mom was there, my dad was there, my granny was there, because my granny was significant in raising me. And I remember speaking my truth, like, I feel alone. I feel like nobody loves me. And my daddy got up and walked out. And I didn't speak to him.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Leticia. This is making me very emotional listening to this. I'm sorry.
I understand. And that's one of the reasons why I share my story. It's emotional. And it's a lot of people that are going through what I went through as a child, So he got up and walked out. I literally felt alone. And from that moment, I was super angry. You couldn't tell me anything because I didn't have respect for these people. As a child, all I wanted was to be loved. And no matter what I did, no matter what I said, I felt like I was being punished for being me. So I have a big personality. I'm a loud person, and I'm always been like this. But I was always made to feel like I'm too much. You can't be like that. You got too much attitude. You're too smart for your own good. You're too loud. You're too opinionated. I was too much. And again, that's a lot to carry as a child. You're learning who you are, and people are literally putting you in a box because they're not comfortable with who you are, right?
They're not comfortable with themselves.
Yeah. So there came a point where the relationship with my mama just got really toxic. Like I fought her. Like you couldn't tell me anything. I thought I was grown anyway. Like at this age, I'm in my 16. I thought I was grown. You couldn't tell me anything. And I remember one night I got in a fight with my mama. It was probably over a phone or something. And it became physical. I pushed her. And that became a story. Oh my God, you put your hands on me, blah, 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 blah. And so my mama's family knew I had put my hands on her. And of course, you're a child. Like, you don't do that. Like, you need to learn how to respect your elders. But I literally didn't feel respected as a human, let alone like, I'm always been one, respect is earned. Like, you are not going to treat me like crap and then expect me to bow down. It's not going to happen. Like, that's not who I am. And after that fight, I remember coming home one day, and I had gotten a letter in the mail saying that I had a registered letter. So registered letter is basically like, you can't just they don't just put this in your mailbox. You have to sign for it as evidence that you received it. And I was talking to my mom, like, who would send me a registered letter? Like, and she was sitting there like, oh, I don't know. So I go pick up this letter. And I'm reading it, and it's basically telling me that I am no longer allowed on my mother's property. If I come to her property, I will be removed by the police. So I'm 17 years old. I don't have anywhere to go. I'm not speaking to my father. Thus, my father's family don't have nothing to do with me. I got in a fight with my mama. I put my hands on my mama. So my mama's family has nothing to do with me. Where am I going? And the only place that I had to go was this man who had choked me, right? I needed a roof over my head. So I humbly crawled back into that relationship. And that gave him fuel. Oh, your mama kicked you out? Oh, your baby's not speaking to you? You owe me by me taking you in. And I think that was when like the psychological abuse like really ramped up. He reminded me on a regular basis how much my family didn't like me and how much I owed him basically my life, because he took me in, he was feeding me, he was putting a roof over my head. And as a person who had spent so much years looking for validation, I bought into that story. That story became my narrative for me. I owe this man my life. I owe this man everything because at least he loved me enough to put a roof over my head. The abuse, the physical abuse, once I moved back in with him, amplified. And, I'm having to defend this relationship because people are like, why are you with this guy? At this point, he's in his 30s. You're not even in your 20s. Why are you with this guy? And I'm like, no, like he's great. Like he's great. Like at that time, I wasn't in a position to say, you know what? It isn't a good situation, but I'm just here because I need a roof over my head. So I hid the fact that I was going through a lot. I eventually married him I think I was about 19. So just before 19, I married him. And the physical abuse definitely ramped up because at that point, now I belong to him. You're my wife. I can do whatever it is that I want to do with you. He used to torture me. He used to keep me up at night. He used to threaten to set fire to me. I rode a moped, and I used to have dreads. So I had dreads for 20 years. So at that time, my dreads were probably mid-back. And I remember there was an incident where we got in an argument and I tried to leave on my moped. And he literally yanked me off the bike by my dreads and dragged me back in the house. And at that time, we were living in a house that had a sliding glass door as the front door. And he used to barricade us in the house when we had fights so that I couldn't leave. There was one time where it got really physical. I mean, it was physical, like hits, punches, pull my hair. Okay. But I started fighting back. And I remember it was like right before this holiday, and I had gotten acrylics on my nails. I was looking sharp, and we got into a fight that night and literally ripping the acrylics off my nails to try to fight this guy back, like bleeding because the damage to my nail bed, trying to get out of the house. And I broke out of the house. I had on just a tie-dye shirt and socks and like literally running down the road to try to get away from this guy. And my father's sister lived not too far from me. And I remember running to her house and saying like, I need to call the police. And the police escorted me back to the house so that I can get my belongings for the night. In that moment, he was acting like he was going to kill himself. He had an electrical cord where he made a noose out of it and had hung it from the stairs. So when the police came, he made himself seem like, a victim. Like, I'm a victim here. She's done something to me and I can't deal with it anymore. And I remember like, I didn't have anywhere to go that night, I ended up sleeping on a friend's couch and she was like, well, what happened to you? I couldn't tell her, my husband beat me. So I came up with a lie that like, I got in a bike accident and I can't even ride home. But I had to go back home because of the story that I told. I didn't want anybody to know what I was going through. And interesting enough, during that time, I worked for a law enforcement agency. And I was terrified of letting anybody know what was going on. Bermuda's a very small place, 21 square miles, 65,000 people, and people know your business there. Like your neighbor knows more about your business than you do. So I didn't want people having information about me and spreading it around. Like you're convinced that people are going to tell your story. So I heard, and I didn't want people that I worked with, like the police officers that I worked with, knowing what was going on in my life. So there were times where I wanted to call the police, but I wouldn't because I was ashamed of being in that position. And anyone that knew me during that time, like I had a persona, like I was hard as rock. You couldn't tell me nothing. You know, a lot of people looked at me as being strong, but I really was, that was probably some of my weakest moments. One night, I remember coming home and I couldn't find my cell phone. And I thought I had just left it at work. It wasn't like a big thing. It's not like it was a small phone, like, no, it was like a Motorola flip phone. I couldn't find it. And one of my friends called me that night, and she was in an abusive relationship. And funny enough, like all my friends used to come to me for relationship advice because I'm been with this guy at this point 8 or 9 years, you know, putting on the front like everything is beautiful. And I remember giving this girl advice. And one of the things that I love Yana Van Zandt, and she has a book called Until Today. And I remember in the conversation with this lady or my friend, picking up the book and reading a passage to her in with the thoughts I'm going to encourage her. And as I was reading the passage, it was talking about how people are in your life for a reason, season, and a lifetime. And I felt like I was in church that day. Like, you know, when you go to church and you feel like the minister's talking directly to you. Like I felt like that was for me. And in a sense it was, because that night my husband came home. He had my cell phone and he had found some messages from a guy that was, you know, trying to kick it with me. And he was drunk. And I remember him coming towards me, and I saw something in his hand. It was a knife. And I'm saying to myself, what the hell is he gonna do with that? Like nobody picks up a knife to be cool. Like you don't pick up a knife, you know what I mean? Unless you mean harm to somebody. And I picked up the phone, I picked up the landline, and I called my mother and I said to her, listen, I need you to come get me. I need you to come get me tonight. Because if you don't, I'm going to die. Like, I felt it in my heart that this guy was going to end me. Like, I just felt it. And in that moment, he ripped the landline out of the wall and tried to barricade me in the room that we were in. So at this time, we were living with somebody because a hurricane had destroyed the house that we were living in. And I think I got slightly complacent there because there was no abuse to that point. I think he was trying to save face, and you know what I mean? So I got complacent. He barricaded us in the bedroom, and I remember him saying, no one's leaving today unless they're leaving in a body bag.
Oh, wow.
And I was terrified, but I was like, I'm going to fight this man. I don't care if he slices me up. Like, I need to get out of this house. And I remember when he stabbed me, I remember the knife going in. So he stabbed me right underneath my breast and in my arm. And I remember the knife going in, but not feeling any pain. Like I tell everybody, it was a complete out of body experience. I had no pain in that moment. The only thing that I processed was the heat of my blood. Luckily, his friend that we were living with heard the commotion and broke into the room. So I was able to run out of the room, and I fell on the couch. He followed me into the living room and literally straddled me while I was on the couch, trying to stab me again. And I remember his friend literally pulling me off the couch and shoving me out the door. I don't know if he was trying to protect him or protect me. I don't know, right? And when I say protect him, stop him from killing me so that he didn't get arrested. It was raining that night. That the yard that they had no grass. So it was so much mud. All I remember is the mud. So I'm now outside in the rain, hardly any clothes on. I had no way to call anybody because he still had my cell phone. And he was proceeded to start throwing my clothes out the window into the mud. One of the things that he used to do as a sorry for incidents that we, physical incidents, he used to buy me Louis Vuitton. So I had like $20,000 worth of Louis Vuitton purses. And I remember him throwing the purses out of the window. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to save these, right? So stupid now that I look at it. But that was my I wanted to save these Louis Vuitton purses because they meant the world to me. Luckily, my mom took me serious and she came to pick me up. So once he realized that somebody was outside for me, he comes outside. Now he's got my blood all over his shirt. He's still holding this knife. And I'm trying to pack up my muddy stuff into the car. And the first things I picked up was the Louis Vuittons because I'm like, I don't need clothes. As long as I've got these bags, maybe I could sell them for money. You know what I mean? Like, they're worth something. So I'm trying to pack the car as he's standing on the steps watching me. And once he realized that he threw the Louis Vuitton outside, now all of a sudden, he wants his Louis Vuitton back. So he's literally unpacking the car as I'm trying to pack the car. And I'm like, you're not taking my purses. And my mama was like, get in the car, girl. What are you doing? I think in that moment, I realized how much danger I was actually in. Like, I'm worried about a purse, and this guy still got a knife. Like, he could slit my throat in this moment. I got in the car and I left. So my mom was like, we're going to take you to the hospital. I was like, I don't want to go to the hospital. I don't want anybody to know what's happened to her. Like,
how old were you at this point, Leticia?
Early 20s, so 21 at this point, 21, 22. Yeah.
So from the age of 14 to 22, you basically lived like just in trauma, existed in just trauma basically. And
yeah, for years.
Wow.
So yeah, I get to my mom's house because I absolutely refused to go to the police station. And I was trying to get things in order. I was supposed to be at work in 3 hours. So I remember calling my boss and telling my boss, I can't come into work. My husband just stabbed me. And I thought I was telling her that in confidence. I later found out that it wasn't in confidence. She relayed that story to a lot of my coworkers. But after I thought I had got myself settled, I wanted to lay down. And I remember my mom saying, well, I don't know what you're going to do, but you can't stay here. So I'm literally at what I thought was my worst moment in life. And I'm still alone. You're literally going to kick me out of your house. I can't stay here. Where am I going? So she drove me to the police station and dropped me off. And luckily, there is a system in Bermuda that, is set up to help women, that need shelter. I was taken to a homeless shelter where I stayed for several months until I was able to get on my feet. And during that time, I managed to get a restraining order. I managed to file for divorce. And I thought, okay, life is happening now. Like I'm finally on my way. Problem was, I'm in my early 20s. This is the first time that I've ever been alone in my life. The first time I've ever considered who I was in my 20s. Like I've been in this relationship since a child. Let's call it what it is. And before that, I my identity was tied to my parents. Like, in Bermuda, they'd be like, "Oh, you're Marilyn's daughter." Like they don't even know your name; they just know who your mama is or who your daddy is. So I was either someone's child or I was someone's girlfriend or wife. And I was faced now being alone, trying to rebuild my life and try to figure out who I was. But oddly enough, filing for divorce actually set me back. Um, I say this and people always think I'm crazy, but I felt like I was a failure because my marriage had failed.
I can understand that.
Okay.
I can understand that.
And it became a narrative for me. Like none of the relationships, the important relationships in my life had been positive to this point. And you kind of carry that. Like, am I really worthy? I can't keep people in my life. You know what I mean? That began like a long period of self-sabotage for me. Like it could have been like an amazing opportunity to reset and restart and create myself. But I think I hated myself in these moments because everything that I knew up until this point was aligned with pain for me. So I started drinking heavily. I entered into situationships and toxic relationships. And although there was no more abuse, because I wouldn't tolerate it, I was still kind of in the same position, not really valuing myself and putting up with a whole lot of nonsense, right? I eventually moved to Atlanta, and that's what we were talking about earlier. I was in Atlanta for 5 years, and I was really putting myself back together. I had gotten a full scholarship to go to Georgia State University. I studied insurance and risk management. Like I really felt like I was piecing my life back together. And then I meet this guy that was probably not somebody that I would normally pay attention to, but I'm a person like I love humor. If you can make me laugh, you probably can get my on this. Like it's just it is what it is. Like I love to laugh. So he caught my attention and I fell kind of fast and heavy with him. I moved in quite quickly and we were living together for nearly 3 years. And I moved back to, well, I went to Bermuda every year, summertime to work, because part of my scholarship was to work in an insurance company. And I decided this summer that I was gonna surprise him for my birthday. My birthday is in July. We were living together. I was paying for the apartment because the full scholarship paid for my housing as well. And I showed up unexpectedly and walked in to find out that he had a wife. And I remember being so angry because like I felt like I was part of his family. I was around his parents. I was around his siblings. I was around his bigger family. I was with them for Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter. Like, there was nothing that indicated to me that this man had a relationship with somebody else. But in that process, I did find out that he was a heavy cocaine user, very heavy.
Girl,
and now that I look back, I realized probably his wife got rid of him because of the cocaine use, right? But anyway, that moment there was like, how could I be in this position again? Like, how could I be in a relationship with somebody and not see the signs, not see what's really going on? So after that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a break. I need to put myself back together. I moved back to Bermuda. I got an amazing job and I was focused on me. And then I started getting to a place where I was lonely, right? And I remember having a conversation with one of my friends, and I was like, this is what I want in a man. And I had this long list, because I was like, I'm not settling this time. Like, this is what they need to have. About 2 weeks later, I meet this guy. And then I say, like, he had everything on that list besides one thing. He wasn't tall. I'm 5'10", so I wanted somebody like 6'4". You know what I mean? He wasn't tall, but that was the only thing on my list that he didn't have. And I fell fast. You know what I mean? Like, super fast. We moved in together within 6 weeks. And things were going really well. Like, I want to say the beginning of this relationship was the best experience that I had ever had in a relationship. He was fully present. He showed up. He loved on me and accepted me. Like, you know, sometimes you go into relationships and you put on a front initially. I didn't do that. I came in raw. Like, this is me. If you don't like it, that's your problem. But I'm not going to fake it because I feel like when you fake it, you attract the wrong kind of people, right? So I felt like in this relationship, I'm doing everything right because I wanted to be right this time. And about a year into the relationship, one of his family members died and he relapsed on crack. Having had a relationship with somebody who was an addict previous to that, I had a lot of rough days in Atlanta dealing with the married guy, and I didn't want to go through that again. Like, literally, it impacted my health, like high blood pressure, panic attacks, all of that because of his drug use, and I didn't want to go through that again. I gave the guy an ultimatum. Look, you either get clean or we're done. Like, there's no way I'm doing this again.
Gotcha.
So he told me, yeah, I'll get clean. You know, so I started looking for places for him to go into rehab. And in that process, I met this woman. She was a coach as well as a counselor. So she was dealing with, you know, addicts, drug and alcohol abuse. But she said to me, you know, I see people all the time, you know, family members of addicts. I can see that you are broken and I want to help you. Right. And in that moment, I'm like, I'm not the one that needs help, lady. He does, not me. But I took her card and it was an important thing for me in that moment. Anyway, in his relapse, my boyfriend started stealing from his job. And he called me one day and asked me to go pick up something from his job. I didn't know he was stealing. I probably was a little naive about how much he was using. And then there was also, I guess, a sense of understanding because he was grieving. So I think the way my mind twisted it is, once he stops grieving, this will be over, right?
Right.
Anyway, he called me one day to pick up something from his job. And when I got to his job and picked up the thing, security surrounded me. And they were like, we have some questions to ask you. And I'm like, questions? Like, what are you talking about? This stuff is stolen. We have it on camera that this is stolen. Blah, blah. I'm like, well, you can take it. I'm not about that life. I don't break the law. Like, I like my freedom.
Right.
Take it.
I don't even know why I'm here.
You don't need a name. And I was allowed to leave in that moment. 2 weeks later, and at the time I was working at an insurance company as a catastrophe modeler. And 2 weeks later, I got a call from reception saying, Leticia, the police are here to see you. I'm like, to see me? What? And I got arrested on my job for receiving stolen property. So I'm in jail for the first time in my life for something that I didn't do. And I remember calling my mama and I was like, listen, I need you to get me a lawyer. You know, I don't know what happened, but I need some help to get out of this situation. Instead of calling a lawyer, she decided to come down to the police station herself. And, you know, I've always seen movies and stuff about, you know, people telling us stories and they're like, oh, it's the worst thing is talking to somebody behind the glass, you know. Here I am, a former law enforcement officer who's never broken the law in her life, sitting behind the glass, having a conversation with my mama who was like bawling her eyes out. And I remember her saying to me, why do you love everyone else more than you love yourself?
Okay.
That was a blow. That was like a body blow. I felt that one. I didn't feel the stab, but I felt that, right? And it was probably what I needed to hear in that moment. When I got out of jail, I got in touch with the lady that was in the rehabilitation center, and I started working with her in a coaching relationship. And in that process, I started learning about how much power I had. I think a lot of times we give away our power by the narratives that we hold. I was a victim. I was always a victim. Life was happening to me. I felt like I had no control over what was going on. But I think getting locked up was really a reality check that although I didn't create all of the situations that I was in, my decisions were the reason why I was in the position that I was in. I wasn't responsible for everything, but had I made different decisions, my life probably would have looked differently. And I really started wanting to make different decisions. But here I was, like, you know, everybody at work knew I had been arrested. I found out after I had been arrested that my boyfriend at the time was soliciting money from my coworkers. So they actually knew more about what was going on than I did.
Wow.
Like, he had taken hundreds of dollars from them and no one had told me. They were just gossiping about me behind my back. So he went into rehab and I started planning to leave Bermuda. I wanted an opportunity to restart my life. I wanted an opportunity to like press reset. I wanted to be anonymous. Like, I didn't want anybody to know what I had been through. You know what I mean? Like, I carried so much shame with my story. So my boyfriend at the time left Bermuda and moved to England as part of his rehabilitation. And I followed behind him not too far after. And I came out here and I did my thing. Like, I pressed reset. I recreated myself, okay? Like, nobody knows me out here. This is my opportunity to shine. And I came out here and I really, really, really focused on my career. So, catastrophe modeler, working in commercial insurance. I end up working in Lloyd's of London, which is the oldest insurance institute in the world. I get into this environment and I used to be a lot heavier. So over the last year, I've lost almost 100 pounds. I had dreads down to my knees. I was foreign. I was a Black woman. I was a big Black woman with an unapologetic attitude. Like, I know who I am and I'm confident in who I am. And I think that intimidates people. That really moves. Like when they feel like you should feel some way about yourself and you don't feel that way, they are intimidated by you. And I came in with, I have something to prove. I remember when I started growing my locks 20 plus years ago, somebody had said to me, you will never get a job with those things in your head. So I was a person that when I used to show up for job interviews, I wouldn't groom my locks. I will come there with my hair completely out so you can see exactly how long they are and how naughty I was, because I believed that I had something to bring to the table. And if somebody got lost in the dreads, that's on them, not on me. And I wore that with pride. I'm going to be honest, because I knew that people always felt like I shouldn't be in the positions that I should be in. You know what I mean? Like, why is this woman here? Anyway, my very last role in commercial insurance was as a manager. I was hired to build a business unit for this company. I built one business unit and then I built a second business unit, and I was managing people in India. And I don't know if you're familiar with Indian culture.
A little bit.
They don't like women. Okay. They don't respect women. Women are not to be telling them what to do. So I had to fight for respect, like constantly. I'm a powerhouse. Some people may think it's arrogant. I'm confident. I know the value that I bring to the table. I was a powerhouse, and I was the reason why that team was so successful. I set it up from the ground up. So I wasn't willing to take disrespect from anybody. And after everything that I've been through, I demand respect. I demand it. And people didn't like that. They didn't like the fact that here is this black, foreign, fat woman with dreads telling them what to do. And although I had a manager's role, I was never allowed to make decisions. All of my decisions were vetoed by my manager. I was overruled with everything. I spent 5 years of my career telling my manager, I told you so, because he refused to listen to me. And I had 2 children back to back. And in a period of 3 years, I was out of work for 18 months. During that time, I spent some time and I really started reflecting, like, I've literally had 20 plus years of stress. I've literally spent 20 plus years fighting for my place in the world, right? And I was tired of it, but I wanted to do something about it. And I remember I was reminded of how much my life changed while working with that coach after I had gotten arrested. Like, that was the biggest pivot in my life, if I'm honest, being able to control my thoughts. I remember at one point in time, somebody saying, you're miserable, but that's a choice, and getting mad at them because of that statement. But learning that my emotions are a choice, learning that the mentality that I have is a choice and I can choose differently, that changed my life, because I was comfortable blaming everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, I was comfortable blaming my parents. I was comfortable blaming my ex-husband. I was comfortable blaming the man in my life for the situations that I had seen myself in. But that gave my power away. Taking ownership of what role I played, even if it was a small role, allowed me to move from being a survivor to a thriver. Right? Like, my experiences made me a survivor. I survived being stabbed. I survived toxic relationships. I survived relationships with addicts. But I spent years in survival mode. And really, when you're in survival mode, you have 2 choices: fight or flight. You're constantly in a state of stress. So being able to heal, being able to put down those narratives so that I was no longer a victim. Yes, I was victimized, but I'm nobody's victim.
Hello.
I'm nobody's victim. That gave me power. And I decided while I was on maternity leave with my youngest daughter, I was actually kind of provoked. 6 hours after giving birth to my youngest daughter, I received an email from a coworker asking me about work. And that pissed me off, I'm going to be honest. And I decided, you know what, I got to get out of this situation. So I decided to start a coaching certification. And I started my coaching business while I had a 3-month-old and a 19-month-old. And I started a business with the thought that, okay, I'll do this on the side, make some little extra money. Maybe I can cut back and be part-time with my full-time job and focus on the business. But when I got back to work after maternity leave, I kind of felt like the disrespect was like at its all-time highest. I remember having an email one morning about something that had nothing to do with me and being cursed at in the email. And I forwarded this email to my manager, and he literally rationalizing this guy's behavior. And it triggers me when people treat me like I'm a piece of shit. Like, literally, it triggers me. I'm being honest, because of everything that I've been through. And I got really angry about that. Couple months later, I was on a call with this old English white man. And he was like, every time I opened my mouth, he was shouting at me. He was calling me arrogant. And of course, I'm arrogant because I'm a person that you can't walk all over. Like, anyone that knows me always says you should be a lawyer. I can argue. No, let me say this. I can debate you until the cows come home. And if you're gonna come for me, you better have your I's dotted, T's crossed, lines, your words underlined, because I'm coming to you with facts. And I'm coming to you where I know that you're not gonna win this argument or this debate, right? Like, I make sure I'm armed with information. So that intimidates people. That intimidates people when they can't walk all over you. And he was intimidated by the fact that here I was, this Black foreign woman, putting him in his place. So I remember him saying something like, "You're so arrogant." And I was like, "You're not going to talk to me like that," because I wasn't wrong, right?
Right.
And my manager calling me after the meeting, telling me that I was too aggressive and I was the reason why, there was tension on that call. And that set me over the edge. I remember hanging up that call, tears in my eyes. And I don't cry because I'm upset. I cry when I'm angry. Tears in my eye. So mad. I was like, gosh, if I was in the office today, I'd have lost my job. They would have had to arrest me today. That's how mad I was, right? And I remember saying to my husband is the man that I was with in Bermuda. He's been clean for 9 years. But I remember saying to my husband, I can't take this anymore. So I made the decision to leave my job. And I walked away from my 14-year career because I'm in a place now, as I said before I started sharing my story, that I really, truly want to see other women, particularly Black women, find themselves in a way that embraces their power. We as Black women are consistently put into subservient roles. We are expected to be strong. We are expected to be, indestructible. But we're not allowed to be emotional. We're not allowed to have an opinion. The minute we speak our minds, oh my gosh, you're angry. Oh my gosh, you're aggressive. And I got tired of that narrative. I think with everything that I've been through in my life, and I said to you before, I've always been told I'm too much. I've got too much attitude. I swing my neck a little too much. And I realized that everything that I've been through is for a reason.
Right.
Right? And my healing has allowed me to really step into that. I'm too loud for a reason, because I have something that needs to be heard. I have too many opinions because I speak for people who don't want to speak. I have too much attitude because I will not be silenced. And I feel that, my purpose in life is to be able to give a voice to people who can't speak up for themselves. So, my mission now is really about helping women to their message, take a message from the mass, to create a testimony from the test, and really use the story to make an impact on the world. I believe that we are here to be impactful, whatever that looks like. And I think so many of us run from that because of the narratives that we hold. Somebody told us that we can't pursue this dream, so we don't. Somebody told us that we are too much for XYZ, so we don't pursue anything. And I'm really tired of seeing that. Like, I truly believe that if we as Black women really stood in our power, we could flip this world on its head. And the reason why I focus on women and not men, because I often get that question, is I truly believe that if we can heal women, we can heal the world. Because women are mothers, aunties, cousins. We mother everyone in this earth. So if we can fix us, if women can become whole, the world would change. So I like to tell people, to walk as if every step they take is about to make an avalanche, because we're here to change the world. We're here to make a difference. And there is value in everything that we've been through. It's up to us to heal so we can move from survival mode to thriving mode and really claim the power that we have given away over the years.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Man, just from the beginning, just the opener, just like Kim said, like you just gave us like an emotional, powerful testament of your journey into finding yourself. Not like it's more of a journey into finding who you are and your. And I think you fellow women out there and you listeners like need to take heed to that message, because other women out there that may have been through what you've been through as well, that won't come out with their story, that won't, stand account of what's going on with the issues. And, it's not something to glorify. It's just something to say, look, as a survivor, you can survive too. And I'm gonna let Kimberly go ahead and speak her mind. I hear her on the other line. Go ahead, girl.
Yeah, this was a very heavy conversation for me, especially just thinking about my own experience, but also some of the things that have happened over the last few weeks. So I was listening, but I had to take myself off camera because it's a lot. It is a lot, and I listen. I really appreciate you, Leticia, for telling your story, because it takes so much to just speak about what you have been through, and from such a young age. From such a young age. And I'm just like, how did you survive? Like, how do you survive that? How do you survive? Even as a woman who I have experienced my own trauma as a young woman. And you just wonder, how do you survive? And man, if I could hug you right now, I absolutely would. Like, I would just embrace you, because I cannot say enough. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being a voice for not only yourself, but women who have had these experiences, who don't know how to speak for themselves. And also for the women whose voices have been silenced from, domestic violence or from suicide, because they could not process and live through their trauma, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
It happens. It happens and it's understandable. So, thank you for still being here, and thank you for sharing, and thank you for being open and not being ashamed. Not being ashamed. I have to commend you for that, for not being ashamed, because so many of us don't speak because of the overwhelming shame. So I just have to, man, I'm embracing you right now with my heart. I'm embracing you with my heart right now because you are truly amazing, and I am just in awe. And I know that people are being healed when they hear your story. I know they are being healed. So thank you for
You're
sharing.
welcome. You're
Yes.
welcome. I just want to say, there was a period of time, as I said in my story, that I lived in shame. I covered it all up, because, like you said, so many people you don't want people to know how vulnerable you are. You know what I mean? Um, and I think also society has this horrible habit of blaming the victim. So a lot of times when we do tell our story, um, we're re-victimized because people can't understand the pain that we're in. People can only see as far as the ear knows, if we're honest. And I think that's why a lot of women don't talk about the pain that they're in. Which is why I feel so blessed, if I'm honest, and grateful that I was able to get through this experience and use my God-given talents to help others. This
Absolutely.
mouthpiece, I didn't have this mouth for no reason. Come on now, you know.
That's true. Have you wrote a book yet?
I am in the process.
I was gonna say, because just hearing that, I could see the movie rights and everything. So immediately, just on that story, man, it's incredible, and I appreciate you for taking the time out your busy schedule to want to come on podcast, let alone Who They Want podcast, and share your testimony with these listeners. You are incredible and just super amazing in my book.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm happy that I stayed up to 1:30.
Absolutely. All right, Kim, you got any more things you want to add before we close it out? No? Kim, did you tap out on us? Hey, Kim. No? Okay. Floor is still open. 5, 4, 3. Okay, no. Ladies and gentlemen, you've tuned into another incredible episode of the Who They Want podcast. Want to give anybody some shout outs, any places they can find you through social media, anything like that you want to drop?
Yes, connect with me on Instagram, BlaqueRose Coaching. Black is spelled BLAQUE. But yeah, connect with me if any part of this has resonated with you. Start a conversation with me. I'm about building community and building, support amongst people. So definitely link me on Instagram or link me on Facebook, and let's connect.
Absolutely. So I put that up on the screen for you guys. You can
Thank you.
see that there. Her Instagram is BLAQUE Rose Coaching. Make sure it's incredible. You don't want to miss out on anything she got going on. And also, don't forget to download the block today, available in all app stores. It's absolutely free at Everything Entertainment Expo. #get blocked in. And this has been Who They Want. Guys, on the next show.